Have you ever experienced a moment when you thought to yourself, I am in love? Did that feeling last, or did it pass? For me, those few seconds of euphoria are often followed by an intense wave of anxiety. But there was one time that my feelings for someone didn't fade. And ironically, this was the one time where it probably didn't make sense for them to stick around. This is the stranger who returned my lost phone and my heart. It all started with a text from my mom. She said, "Where are you?" It was unusual for her to text me because she knew I was working late. I was an overnight receptionist at a large veterinary hospital, which meant that my shifts were anywhere between 12 and 14 hours long. She must have been worried that something had happened to me because she kept texting me. I finally responded with, "Sorry, I'm working." And then I went back to tending to my duties. About 30 minutes later, my phone started ringing. The caller ID said unknown. I let it go to voicemail. The next day, my mom was still texting me well into the afternoon, which was odd. I figured that I would just call her back and let her know that I was okay. As soon as I heard her voice, though, I knew something was wrong. Her voice was shaking. "Where have you been?" she asked. Then she started crying. "You weren't answering your phone and I couldn't get in touch with you." I felt awful. I told her that I'd been working and explained that I only got a few breaks throughout the night. "But you didn't answer my calls," she said, still crying, "and I saw the missed calls on your phone, but you didn't answer my texts either." I felt even worse. "Sorry," I whispered. "I'll call more often." At that point, my shift was over and I was heading home. The problem was that I was broke and I needed to take the bus. Even though it took over 2 hours to get home, the bus ride was only $2 compared to the $16 that a cab would cost. As I made my way to the bus stop, I realized that I couldn't feel my fingers. It was winter in Minnesota, so I pulled my coat tighter around myself and waited for the bus. When the bus finally arrived, I ran to catch it. I just made it onto the bus when I realized that I didn't have my phone. I searched everywhere, but it was gone. I knew that I had dropped it somewhere along the way. My mom had no idea that I had lost my phone, so I was pretty sure that she would freak out if she found out. I called out, "Lost phone," but nobody answered. I sighed, defeated. I looked down at my feet and realized that I was standing right in front of him. He was handsome with messy brown hair and kind eyes. He was also tall, really tall, like model tall. He looked down at me and smiled. "Is everything okay?" he asked. "I lost my phone," I replied. He nodded his head toward the seat across from us. "Why don't you sit down? We can look for it together." I thanked him and sat down. A few moments passed, and I realized that I was starting to feel a little fluttery. I wasn't sure if it was because of the cold weather or because of him. Maybe it was both. Do you know how to get to the vet clinic?" I asked. "Yeah, I think I do," he replied. "How about I walk you to the door?" I blushed. "Okay," I managed to say. He got off the bus with me and we started walking toward the vet clinic. As we approached the building, I started panicking. What if they had thrown my phone away? What if I never saw it again? We walked inside, and I explained what had happened. One of the techs checked the lost and found box and then came back with my phone. "Here you go," she said. I practically tackled him. "Thank you," I exclaimed. I turned to leave, but he stopped me. "Wait," he said. "Can I have your number?" I smiled. "Of course." After I gave him my number, he drove me home. On the way, we talked about everything and nothing. I liked him a lot. Like a lot. When we arrived at my house, I asked him if he wanted to come in for some hot chocolate, but he declined. He said that he had an early class and he didn't want to be late. "Well, thank you so much for helping me today," I said. "It was really nice meeting you," he replied. "Yeah," I said. Then I went inside. I couldn't stop thinking about him the rest of the night. Every time I picked up my phone, I hoped that he would text me. Of course, he never texted me. I was just being silly, right? The next day, though, he actually did text me. It said, "Hey, it's Jake. How's it going?" I was in a rush to get to work, so I didn't have time to respond. I did, however, respond later that day. I said, "Hi, Jake. It's going well. How are you?" He responded almost immediately. "I'm good. Are you busy right now?" "Yep," I said. "I'm at work. Do you want to go out sometime?" he asked. "I'd like that," I replied. And just like that, we made plans for the next day. On our first date, Jake took me to an Italian restaurant. We talked for hours. I learned that he was studying to be a doctor, which wasn't surprising since he was so tall. Nurses tend to be shorter than doctors, and he definitely did not disappoint. I also learned that he lived with 3 roommates. He played the guitar, piano, and drums, and he loved to run. On our second date, we went to a coffee shop. I loved how his eyes crinkled when he smiled and how he always seemed to know what to say. At the end of the day, though, I knew that he was too good to be true. Sure, we had a lot in common and I liked him a lot, but he was perfect. I was not. There was no way that someone like him could be interested in someone like me. I knew that he was just being nice. After our second date, I started preparing myself for when he broke up with me. I even came up with the perfect response. I would tell him that I understood and that there was no hard feelings. A week later, I heard from him. He told me that he was going to be out of town for the next month and he wouldn't be able to see me. I was heartbroken, but I responded by saying that it was fine and that I understood. After he left, I cried myself to sleep. For the next 4 weeks, I heard from him every day. He sent me funny memes and told me about his adventures. I tried to be happy for him, but all I could think about was how much I missed him. When he finally came back, I didn't hear from him for 2 days. I was worried that he had broken up with me, but then he texted me. "Do you want to go out tonight?" he asked. "Yes," I breathed. He picked me up and we went dancing. As we swayed to the music, I leaned my head against his shoulder. I knew that I was in love with him. He felt my heart beating faster. He stopped dancing and turned me around. "What's wrong?" he asked. I hesitated, but then I leaned up and kissed him. "I love you," I whispered. He stared at me for a moment, and then he kissed me back. "I love you too," he whispered. From that day on, we were inseparable. We did everything together, or at least we tried to. Sometimes he would have to work or study, but we always made time for each other. 2 years after we started dating, he proposed. Of course, I said yes. The following year, we got married. Now we live in a small house with our 2 cats, Luna and Lucy. I wouldn't trade Jake for the world. He's my best friend, my confidant, and he's the reason why I believe in happily ever afters. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and comment. What should I write about next?